Hello and welcome to the Escaping the Matrix course or lesson. I am your host, Sonny Threlkeld, or Infinite Energy. You can call me either, whichever you prefer. And today, joining me on our Escaping the Matrix is Campton. And so, basically, what I'm going to be talking about, I'm going to be talking about the overview of the Matrix, what it is, and the systems that make it up. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about what the Matrix produces, what emotions it produces, and things like that. And Campton will go over the tools on how to essentially escape this matrix and create your own system that is beneficial towards you. And so to get into it, we are okay. So whenever you are born, we are born into the system. Right when you come out of the womb, you are given a number to identify you in a religion. And you're basically, as soon as you're born, you're thrown with all these labels that are essentially basically made up. They're made up labels to put you within a certain category and to keep you boxed in to a certain category or group. And then a few years later, after you grow up a little bit and go through a little bit of development and conditioning through your asleep parent or assumably asleep parents that are also conditioned by the same system, you're then thrown into a government ran institution that is just going to reinforce these habits and these elements of the matrix. And so it's the matrix and its elements and its quote unquote lessons are reinforced through shows, movies, books, and performances like concerts, plays, things of that nature. And then as you get older, you start to become more and more accustomed to this system and you don't question it as much because you're so used to all of these elements being pushed into your mind, pushed right into your subconscious as soon as you come out. It's been happening since you were born. And you were never taught to question this. You were always taught to just obey and go through the motions, especially through the educational system. And then here are some things that the majority doesn't normally question that is quote unquote a part of this matrix. So these are some elements that consist of the matrix and reinforce it. So we have the typical corporate structure, the 9 to 5, your typical 9 to 5. I'm not saying that all 9 to 5s are bad. It's doing what makes you happy. That's what fuels your passion. That's what it is about at the end of the day. However, for most people, the 9 to 5 system is not beneficial towards anybody's health. And it was actually created by Henry Ford whenever his Ford automobiles were becoming extremely popular with the Model T. And that's so they created that to be able to produce more cars. And it said that the human body is only able to work like that in an environment like that for 4 hours a day. When in a 9 to 5 system, you're obviously working a lot more hours than that. And so it's pushing you to the max capacity of stress. And then we go into the university or college education system. It's almost like we're accustomed, like it's like you're literally pushed towards taking on thousands upon thousands of dollars of debt right after high school. And you might not even know what you actually want to do with your life. And you might be interested in something that the college or university doesn't even offer. So we're kind of pushed by society to go in that direction. We're obviously starting to see more of a change start to happen, and we're starting to see alternative forms of education pop up. And we have the internet, for example, which is a phenomenal place where you can learn just about anything you want. But yeah, that's kind of how the college university system, and then you're like you're put in this massive, poorly lit lecture hall with a professor regurgitating a lot of information from old, outdated textbooks. And now we get into my favorite of all of them, the mainstream media. So 6 companies own every single mainstream media company there is. Like there's a bunch of different subcategories, all the local news. They're all owned by 6 major corporations. And these 6 major corporations are obviously they're corporations. Like they make deals. They want to make the most money they can. What makes money? Fear makes money. So whenever people are in a state of fear, they are more susceptible to change and more submissive. You're able to get an agenda across whenever people are in a state of fear, and you're able to keep people at a certain state of consciousness. You keep them in that fear state and this is all reinforced through the mainstream media. They're able to get across a certain agenda, and people are able to adopt it. I mean, we take a look at the COVID pandemic and things of that nature. You're able to just put out a bunch of fear porn that can convince a population to do a certain thing or believe a certain thing. And these 6 companies, I mean, obviously they don't have our best interests in mind. And you don't think that these 6 companies are buddy buddy with each other? They are 100% buddy buddy with each other, and it's all part of a much bigger structure. It goes layers upon layers, but I'm not going to really get into that. I'm just covering the basics, and then we get into the government. The government is a corporation. It's not for the people. It never was for the people. Well, it might have been for the people at a time, but as soon as the Federal Reserve System was implemented, it was not for the people. And we have a big government now, and all across the world, all we see is big governments that are aiming to control the people. There's a famous quote that says, I'm not too sure who it's by, but it says, people shouldn't fear the governments. The governments should fear the people. And this is how it should be, but that is not what we're seeing. We're seeing people afraid of the government when the government is just a small entity. So these governments are creating laws to help push a certain agenda and keep people in a certain box. And they're literally just robbing us through taxation and all that. And they're pushing all these different agendas to try and get you to do this, obey, submit. So that's kind of basically where the government's going. And then this is one last thing that people never question. Well, I shouldn't say never, but is psychedelics. Psychedelics, we're taught that mind altering substances that have the potential to expand your awareness and expand your consciousness and to help reset your hormone levels. We're taught that we should stay away from it and that we should be afraid of it. And this is all reinforced through mainstream media and the governments because they're all buddy buddy with each other because they don't want you to expand your mind and to be more aware of the things that are going on in the systems that are put in place to keep you contained within this certain box, and they don't want you to go a different direction than where they want you to go. They want you to stay in the same direction as everybody else. They want you to go through and follow this path, go through this corporate structure, so you can then just slave your life away and just pay your taxes and work for them. And so psychedelics kind of opens the doors up to more mind expanding ideas. And that's the great thing about it is, yeah. And then I'm going to go into some mental issues that this matrix can produce and how it affects the people. So some things that are reinforced, this is reinforced by the fear of failure is reinforced by the education system and the grading system, how we got with A plus B, C, D, F. And people that, so say you're an A student and you're always striving, it's great to strive for like going for those A's, but if you do fail, people become really hard on themselves and they get really scared to fail. Like they don't want to fail, like, because failure in the school system is deemed as a bad thing and something that we shouldn't do, when in reality, our entire lives are failures. We fail. You're going to fail so much in your life. There's a tiny percentage of a tiny percentage of your life are wins or successes or whatever. And then a major percentage are failures. You're going to fail at so many things at life. The key comes in is having the courage to do something and try something, knowing that it has a good chance of failing anyway, but you go forward and do it anyway. And the school system doesn't teach us this. It teaches us to aim for perfection, which is not reality. It's all an illusion. So let's get into mediocrity. So the structure, they want to promote mediocrity. They don't want you to be the best person that you can possibly be. They want you to keep you in a state of limbo for as long as they possibly can. And they promote this state of mediocrity through comedic television shows and movies. And then in most of those movies and TV shows, the main character is portrayed as an inadequate father figure. And if we look at examples like Family Guy, look at Homer from The Simpsons, South Park, these guys are all portrayed as mediocre and inadequate. What do you think that does to your subconscious mind whenever you're watching these shows? It's reinforcing the fact that it's okay to be mediocre and inadequate when we should be the best the best person that we can possibly be, and to be assertive and to be a driving force in this reality, and to take control of life and to make something of it instead of just letting life take you where it wants, letting the system take you where it wants and just following everybody else. And anxiety and depression, man, like, is so rampant in the society, and it is fucking horrible. It is horrible for the body and it's horrible for the mind. It's just terrible for society, and in the evolution process of society, it is horrible. So we've seen in the rise of social media, all of this rise of social media correlates with the rise in anxiety and depression. If we look at the statistics with Generation Z and millennials, and even generations that are lower than that, we see that the rise of social media correlates with these generations having a very big spike in anxiety and depression. And this stems all from the scrolling on social media and these algorithms that are keeping you hooked on an endless state of scrolling. And after scrolling for hours and hours, you're like a zombie. You become a zombie because you're not doing anything. You're just mindlessly scrolling, letting your subconscious absorb whatever these algorithms want to put on your screen. And so it's just very bad. It's not good. And that's where addiction comes in. Addiction comes in from these dopamine. You're getting hooked on the dopamine because it feels good, but it doesn't feel good, but it feels good. Like it's bad and it feels horrible, but the chemistry in your brain is saying, oh no, like, this is good. I want more. I want more. So this is gonna bring me to the point of reprogramming the mind, and I'm just gonna cover a little bit about reprogramming the mind. I'm gonna let Campton take over after I give a little overview and my little thoughts on this. So you obviously can't change the matrix yourself and the structure that supports it and keeps it going. But what you can do is you can change yourself and create your own system. So taking a step back, the first step in creating your own system and kind of hacking the matrix, as I like to say, is by taking a step back and questioning everything you do with your daily life. So what do you do in your daily life? What do you do when you wake up? It's really just putting yourself in that third person perspective and viewing your life from an outside point of view. It gives you a greater awareness on what you've been doing, what you've been taught, and what your subconscious mind is doing. And this also not only applies to what you're doing in your daily life, but also your thoughts as well. So really, the first step is to take a couple days and to simply observe and take notes in your journal, whatever, about what you're doing, what you're thinking, what emotions you're feeling. And so that'll kind of give you a gist of what things you need to reprogram and change in your life to make you a more fulfilled, loving, joyous, hopeful person. And so I want to get into affirmations. And so affirmations are a wonderful tool because they help and allow you to alter your subconscious mind, because you writing down these affirmations or saying them aloud is going straight to your subconscious, because your subconscious hears and sees everything. And that's kind of how you were programmed in the first place. You were originally programmed through the subconscious mind and the altering of it since birth. And so affirmations are a great tool. I'm not saying like affirmations aren't going to fix everything, but they are a great tool to get you started and get going and make a little bit of tweaks in the subconscious. And you do have to remember that where your attention is going, that's where your energy is flowing. And that is wherever your energy is going in your day-to-day life that's what is creating your reality. And so if you want to help alter or reprogram your mind, you have to pay attention to what you're paying attention to. You have to bring awareness to that. And so that brings us back to taking a step back and questioning everything. Ask yourself this: when I walk around and go about my daily life, what am I paying attention to? What am I what am I giving my energy towards? Am I giving it towards negativity? Am I watching videos on YouTube that are bringing me down? Am I just watching it just to watch it, just because I'm bored and I have nothing else to do? Or am I am I thinking these extremely negative thoughts and thinking about self-harm and just thinking about a bunch of nonsense? Like, why am I paying attention to that? Why am I even fancying those thoughts? So you have to ask yourself that, because the more you pay attention to those things, the more it's going to manifest and become your reality, and the more you will see it. And also, the more that you pay attention to those negative thoughts and get hooked on those things, you're going to attract people and situations that are associated with that vibration. And so now that you've identified what you want to change, what you want to reprogram, we're going to go into the how you're going to stay on the course and how you're going to keep going and making these changes. So this is where discipline and consistency comes in. This is what is going to create results for you. This is how things are going to change. I know it's hard. It's hard to be disciplined and to keep consistency, and you're going to fail a couple times, and it's okay if you mess up. Completely fine. It happens. But you just have to don't you can't get too hard on yourself. If you get too hard on yourself, you're going to want to quit. You got to be like, you know what? You just got to get up and say, you know what? I messed up, but it's okay. And I can come back from it. And I can do better tomorrow. And I can do it tomorrow. It's okay. I can keep moving. I can keep moving forward. And then so that's where the discipline comes in. And then the consistency, obviously, if you're consistent with what you're doing, it's going to reinforce your subconscious even more. Your subconscious is going to be like, oh, hey, this is what we're doing now. Okay, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. All right. And then it starts getting accustomed to it. And then eventually you're going to wake up one day and be like, it's going to be automatic. And be like, oh, this is cool. So I'm now going to pass off to Campton, who's going to show you what the tools necessary for reprogramming your mind and how you're going to do it.
Right on. Thanks, Sonny. Yeah, so I had some imagery, some exercises, tools that you can make these connects here. So this is you. This is where the matrix is, and it's spread throughout the body. This is the nervous system. This is what animates your body and makes you happen essentially. So every practice that we're going to go over here is essentially designed for optimizing neuronal growth and healing your body and making the connection to trauma, the matrix, your ego, personality, and your dreams, right? Channeling the divine essence of the universe inside of you, right? It sounds super woo, but it's literally it's consciousness reductum is awareness. So if you just on an intuitive level don't feel like everything that you are as a consciousness is in here, that's the only step you need to start investigating the nature of your reality. And these practices are by far the most instantly gratifying things that you could do to begin to experience those things. And you might as well, right? This is what we're looking at. So for me, I think about things super logically and left brainy, right? Trying to get it to the microscopic parts. So my gateway into meditation and mindfulness and spiritual awakening was optimizing my life for the creation of these synapses, which apparently make up all of our skills, our understanding, our personality. So if we've been struggling with a depressive personality for a long amount of time, we can actually optimize our life for the regrowth of a personality that we would rather be. And that brings us into this website, this perfect website that actually modernizes ancient yogic practices and teaches you how to blast out all the tension and blockages in the nervous system. It's an incredible resource. So I would recommend starting with the pranayamas, which is breath work, right? Which is kind of like the Wim Hof method, but in a kind of ancient protected manner, if that makes sense. So you're learning to calm the nervous system. You're learning to tap into the parasympathetic nervous system to relax yourself, to calm the mind from the anxiety that's going on essentially in your prefrontal cortex, right? That's where energy has trapped itself in the creation of this identity and inner dialogue, this matrix. I have to do this. I have to impress this person. And then all the needless simulations in our mind that cause anxiety to literally pump through our body. Anxiety pumps through our body as verifiably as any other science that we have, right? I like to make the analogy to the 6th grade science experiment with the volcano, right? As guaranteed of a reaction as that is, so too are these ancient practices and their effect on your consciousness and becoming more cognitive, creative, enhancing your memory, everything, your speed of learning, right? You're optimizing your life for the electrical creation of the synapses, right? These microscopic tubes that make up your skills, identities, perceptions of the world. And psychedelics are a perfect vehicle to give you an experience of what it's like to be outside of this egoic identity, so that from that advanced point of view, you can recontextualize the way that you'd like to live your life and develop your philosophy and understand that these symbols and themes are everywhere. They know. Keanu Reeves knows, okay? All these people know that there are deeper truths to the universe. And look at this. Okay, so this is the magnetic entry points of the chakras, right? They're called chakras or energy wheels because that was the perception that our ancient masters had, right? These yogis, shamans, druids, all these people, occultists, right? They had this subjective understanding and awareness of these magnetic entry points into our nervous system, right? Our cellular biology. This is an intelligence that's grouped by the electromagnetic spectrum, which is vibration, which is energy, which makes everything up. You are a collection of everything. So you are both one and individual at the same time. Isn't that wonderful? So go to these websites, read this material, make the connection, convince yourself that the health of the spine and the snake, the Kundalini spirit, this creativity will reverse your aging and make you a force within this reality, right? This is energy. This is the creative force, evolutionary force of the universe. And it's proven. And you know what? Buddhists agree with quantum physics, right? They're like, yes, thumbs up to that. That's what we're talking about. Oneness, brother. Okay. And this is you. You can master this. This is how you can become more athletic. If you understand hypertrophy and Wim Hof is great to understand brown and white fat, how to activate brown to burn the white, which is what you don't want. But I guess you kind of want it, don't want it. It is what creates energy. So optimizing your life, like pretending that you are a science experiment. Treat your life, your philosophy as a science experiment. Right? Yoga is a science, and empirical science is also a science. If that makes sense, yeah. Shoddy kind of analogy, but that's me. That's the tools to exit the matrix. Check out those websites. Join the New Earth Academy. Okay. Back to Sonny.
Yeah, so this New Earth Academy, this new thing that we got going on, it's a brand new project that we just started, and the main goal of it is to help assist you with this ascension that we're this great awakening, this big event that we're all going through, this collective awakening. And so our job and our passion is to help bring these tools to the people and to help people navigate this reality. Because oftentimes, more often than not, we are not given the tools to help us within this realm. We're just kind of taught to go through the motions and not to go outside and step outside the comfort zone. We want to step outside the comfort zone and go explore and see what this reality has to offer. So we are providing the tools in this academy for you to be able to do that successfully. And yeah, this was the Breaking the Matrix, or Escaping the Matrix, Exiting the Matrix. This is our first little class/course. Let us know how you liked it down in the comments. And yeah, thanks. Have a great night.